lighting is any better than what it was before, because I'm trying something new, and if it's not working out, then I'll just do what I was doing before. So today I'm going to be doing a video all about my favorite books. I have a whole shelf behind me about my favorite books. I have a whole shelf behind me with my favorite books. So I don't own every single book that would be considered my favorite book, obviously. I do go to the library a lot, and I checked out a book recently, and it is not my new favorite book. If you follow me on Twitter, you already know what this book is, and that's They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I can't talk about it without crying, so all I'm going to say is that you should read this book. So I guess I'm going to go in order from like least favorite to favorite, even though that's not really how they're even like organized on my shelf. Start with But I Love Him by Amanda Grace. I've owned this book since I was like in 7th grade, I think. I was in middle school when I first read this book. I'm now 20 years old, so that's a long time. So it's about the relationship between Anne and Connor, and it's a really, really abusive relationship. And it's what I really liked about this, because at the time I had never read a book like this, is that it tells a story from like the end to the beginning, which I really thought was interesting. So yeah, if you have never read this, I think you should. I don't think I've ever seen anyone on YouTube ever talk about this book. So the next book I have is Don't Look Back by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I see a lot of people talk about Jennifer L. Armentrout, but I really don't see anyone talk about this book. And I think it's like one of her best books. Okay, so it's basically about this girl Samantha. She goes missing with her best friend Cassie, and only Samantha comes back, and she doesn't even like remember anything that happened. She doesn't remember who she doesn't remember who she is or who anyone is, and there's a lot that goes on in this book. I'd really suggest you pick this up. Obviously I've read it a few times because it's a little beat up, but that's fine. It's okay to love your books. Next book I have is Keep Holding On by Suzanne Colasanti. Noelle gets bullied pretty badly in her school, and she's really rushed. She kind of hides herself, or like hides secret from everyone at her school because she doesn't want to know how bad her home life is. It's just a really sweet story. I don't think it's like the best written thing in the entire world, but I really keep this on my shelf more for like sentimental value. Sentimental. I have is I'll Meet You There by Heather Demetrios, and I read this I think last fall. I read this last fall, I'm pretty sure. I think I read it in one sitting, which isn't really anything different for me. I usually read most of my books in one sitting. I just realized 90% of these, or like 99% of these, are contemporary romance. That's fine with me. I really like contemporary romance. Be sure we get both. Yeah, we get both perspectives, and I really like books that have multiple perspectives because I always want to know what's going on in other characters' minds. That's just my thing. This is really good. Yeah. So the next book I have is Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour. I'm an idiot. It says she's a talented young production designer, which I thought was really interesting. I really liked that this book had a lot to do with the film, like the movie industry. I thought that was really interesting. It's also an LBGT romance. The next is a series. And that is, wow, I'm so basic. You've probably heard of all of my top favorites. And that is The Luck series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I have read this series more than I've ever read a series ever in my life. I am not a series person. Again, most of the books I read are contemporary romance, so they're not really series. They're usually a standalone. But for some reason, this is like my favorite thing in the world. They are not the best written things. They have some problems, but I love them. Like, they're like my favorite in the entire world. I have the bind-ups. I really want to get the like original like singular books because I'm so obsessed that I like need different copies. I read this entire bind-up, like I didn't just read Obsidian. I read Obsidian and Onyx in one day. This entire bind up. It's like 800 pages altogether. Almost 800, I'm pretty sure. It's 760 pages. I read 760 pages in one day. A day I had school. What was I doing in class reading this book? None of my teachers said anything to me, obviously, or I wouldn't have finished this book. So the next book I have, the next 3 books are all by the same author. So I have Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. I love this book. I know some people don't really like this book because it's like, they say it's like boring and a little slow, but I really liked it. I really liked the pacing. I really liked the setting. I have Landline, again by Rainbow Rowell. Really like Landline. I really liked the little bit of magical realism that's in it. I don't like that her husband's name is Neil. That's an ugly name. That's like my only complaint about this book. My favorite book of all time is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I only have the exclusive collector's edition, but it's super special to me because, wait for it, it's signed! I have tears in my eyes. It's signed. It says in my name, it says Becca. And then it's signed by Rainbow Rowell herself, the queen. I love Kath. I relate to her so much. I have read this book so many times. The amount of hiding she does in her dorm was me my freshman year of college and like the beginning of my sophomore year. And like her writing fan fiction. I used to write fan fiction. Don't go trying to find it because it's not good. And I'm also in love with Levi. If I don't marry someone who's like Levi, I'm never gonna get married. I thought that would be a really interesting video to film, kind of give you guys some recommendations, recommending you guys my favorite books. Again, some of them are kind of trash, but I still love them. And if you love trash like I love trash, then you should read them. I'll leave a link to all the books in the description below, so if you want to buy them, it's easier to find them because I'm a very helpful human. And if you were wondering throughout this whole video if this is the same hoodie Ethan Dolan wore on TRL, the answer is yes. And yes, we are in love. So I'll see you guys next Wednesday. I'm so good at selling my favorite books.